It's really important to make that distinction, make people aware of it, because we actually see how the CCP itself tries to blend those things and not make that distinction, and use that for their own propaganda purposes. We have to clearly make that distinction, and I think part of it is just pointing to the realities of how Chinese people, Chinese Canadians, but also people in Hong Kong and elsewhere, whenever they're given the opportunity, whenever they're able to, obviously very difficult on the mainland in China, but whenever people have the opportunity to, they speak out in support of freedom, of democracy, of human rights, and the rule of law. Many people, although it's decades ago, many people will still remember that powerful image of before the Tiananmen Square massacre, of the tanks rolling in, and of the willingness of people to stand in front and continue their fight for democracy and human rights. This is the incredible courage that we have seen from so many Chinese people, Hong Kongers, Canadians of Chinese origin, who are willing to take risks and stand up. And these are real heroes. And so recognizing that reality and standing with the Chinese people is very important in terms of how we make that distinction. I think the other thing that's important is sometimes the arguments of those who are defending CCP will try to frame CCP as kind of the continuation of China's rich history and culture, and they'll say things about Confucius and that. But I think very often when people say this, they do so with very little understanding of China's recent and longer history. Confucian philosophy is something that I love and I've gotten into reading, and it's so rich in terms of emphasizing virtue, personal responsibility, the importance of integrity. And I think the Confucian values are actually very different, very much at odds with what the CCP has been doing. And I think we also see how societies that have been deeply influenced by Confucius, Taiwan, also South Korea, are vibrant free democracies today that draw on those traditions. So I think it's a good idea for everybody in the West, is given the importance of China on the world stage, to really understand and learn about Chinese history, Chinese philosophy, and be able to draw on Confucius and other sources in dialogue to say, hey, this is China's rich, ancient, beautiful tradition. And actually, the history, the tragic 20th century history, was really how the Communist Party tried to destroy a lot of that history, and then started to sort of co-opt some of the language of it without really using it. So I think learning about, understanding China in a real, deep, rich way is part of how we clarify and show this distinction.